It's magic, you see.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to give you that shortcut to being truly well-informed. We take a dense stack of sources, distill them, and pull out the surprising, essential knowledge.
And today, we are digging into a story many of you probably think you know pretty well, The Secret Garden.
Right, but we're looking past, the ivy and the roses, the sort of nostalgic glow. We want to examine the brutal, specific anatomy of transformation that's actually inside the text.
That's exactly it. Our focus is almost forensic today. We're analyzing precisely how these radically different environments, unexpected self-discovery, and really crucially, these burgeoning relationships acted as powerful therapeutic catalysts.
Yeah, catalyst is the right word. So our mission is to track the transformation of two, let's be honest, deeply psychologically stunted children, Mary Lennox and Colin Craven, and see how they become healthy, thriving individuals based strictly on what the source material tells us.
And to really grasp the scale of this change, we have to start at the beginning, the grim baseline. Let's unpack Mary Lennox's initial state.
She wasn't just like a difficult kid. The book calls her the most disagreeable-looking child ever seen. Sickly, thin, yellow-faced.
And by age 6, tyrannical and selfish a little pig as ever lived. Harsh words, but the text backs it up.
It really does. The sources paint this shocking picture of, utter neglect. Born in India, never properly cared for. Her father's always busy.
And her mother, a society beauty totally mortified by having this, quote, unlovely child. She actually told the ayah, her nursemaid, to keep Mary out of sight.
Just imagine that, paying someone to make sure you don't have to see your own kid. It's chilling. Mary was kept out of the way, first as a baby.
Then as a toddler. Raised by servants who just obeyed her every whim because, frankly, it was easier. They were scared of losing their jobs if Mary cried and upset her mother.
The result, total isolation, rampant selfishness, and then things get even worse. The cholera epidemic hits.
Yeah, the source is explicit here. When it killed her parents and her ayah, Mary was literally forgotten, just left alone in the nursery.
Hiding out, surviving on fruit and biscuits she found. Until this young English officer, Barney, stumbled upon her.
By pure chance. He finds her amidst all the chaos and says, "It is the child no one ever saw. She has actually been forgotten."
And it wasn't just her parents forgetting. The few servants who survived had fled the house, and the text says not a single one even remembering that there was a Missy Sahib.
She was completely invisible, a non-entity, even to the people paid to care for her.
So this forgotten child gets shipped thousands of miles away, from hot, humid, suffocating India
to Misselthwaite Manor, on the Yorkshire Moor, which is described as this immensely long but low-built house which seemed to ramble around a stone core, huge, imposing, and kind of bleak.
And who meets her there?
Yeah.
Mrs. Medlock, the housekeeper. Stout, sharp, takes one look at Mary.
And immediately dismisses her as a plain little piece of goods. Total lack of sentimentality.
Which Mary has clearly never encountered before, that kind of blunt honesty.
And that honesty is crucial. Mary, even before leaving India, had started feeling this vague loneliness, wondering why she never belonged to anyone. But she had zero self-awareness about her own awfulness. She just blamed everyone else.
So this journey isn't just geographical. It's like she's being dropped into a place where all her old psychological tricks, her tyranny, just won't work anymore.
Exactly. Her defenses are useless there. So, okay, our deep dive starts now in Yorkshire. We're tracking how this disagreeable-looking child starts to flourish physically and mentally.
Using the moor, the garden, as these, profound therapeutic agents. And it really starts with the sheer shock of the landscape itself.
Right. That's the first pillar, the environment. She arrives hating it, calls it vast, bleak, ugly.
Mrs. Medlock even uses that Yorkshire word for her, marred, meaning spoiled, pettish.
And the contrast couldn't be more stark. Sickly, heavy, hot India versus the windswept Yorkshire moor. It initially makes her feel small, lost, odd.
But the source is clear, isn't it? This harshness, this difference, was exactly the jolt her system needed. Her thin body, her stunted development.
Absolutely. And the change starts physically, almost involuntarily, before her attitude shifts much at all. She begins running outside, but only to get warm.
Fighting this wind she describes as a giant she could not see. It's a physical struggle.
But it's that struggle, that exposure, that starts to stir her slow blood, as the book puts it. Nature is literally forcing her body awake.
And the results are immediate and physical. This is what makes it feel so real. after just a few days of running around like this.
She wakes up one morning knowing what it feels like to be hungry for the first time ever.
And she actually eats her breakfast porridge. Eats it all. With enthusiasm.
It's a massive physiological shift. Martha, the housemaid, sees it straight away. She says it's the air of the moor that's giving these stomach for the victuals.
The moor air is literally medicine, filling her lungs, whipping color into her cheeks, reoxygenating her, activating her.
And this physical change is tied directly to her first real human connection, Martha.
Who Mary initially dismisses, right? Calls her common, thinks she talks too much Yorkshire.
Yeah, Mary completely fails to recognize Martha as this source of warmth and, crucially, practical reality, something totally alien compared to our ayahs in India.
And the core contrast Martha brings is the idea of genuine need, especially hunger.
Right. Mary has this tiny appetite, pushes her food away, and Martha explains, well, her family of 12, they have to eat every scrap because they're as hungry as young hawks and foxes.
Mary just registers this with the indifference of ignorance. She literally doesn't understand true, basic hunger.
But Martha's family, especially her brother Dickon, becomes Mary's first sort of indirect connection to a healthier reality.
Her interest in Dickon, this boy who spends all his time outside with animals. The book calls it the dawning of a healthy sentiment.
Because, it says, for the first time since she was born, she was interested in someone other than herself. That's the first tiny crack in that wall of selfishness.
And this budding interest gets cemented by this, well, extraordinary gift, something with real moral weight.
Martha's mother, Mrs. Sowerby, a woman feeding 12 kids on, 16 shillings a week.
A tiny amount. And she takes tuppence, a minuscule but significant part of Martha's wages, to buy Mary a skipping rope.
Think about that sacrifice. This simple wooden toy, bought through real financial hardship by someone she's never even met. It's a profound act of care.
Martha relays her mother's reasoning. Nothing will do her more good than skipping rope. It's the sensiblest toy a child can have. It's about health.
And this rope, it facilitates sustained exercise. Real joyful movement for Mary.
Which is such a key detail. It's not just the exercise itself, it's that someone saw her need for health and sacrificed something tangible for it.
And Mary, who could barely be bothered to do anything before, now skips and skips around the gardens, the orchard. Until her cheeks are red, she's breathing fast.
She starts noticing her own body changing. She actually says, I am getting fatter, and I'm growing stronger. I used always to be tired. When I dig, I'm not tired at all. Self-awareness is dawning.
And that brings us neatly to her first non-human connection, the robin redbreast.
Ah, the robin. Ben Weatherstaff, the old gardener, calls him one of the friendliest, curiousest birds alive.
And this robin takes an immediate, active interest in Mary, chirps at her, hops close, doesn't seem put off by her sourness.
And she responds. She goes from thinking, people never like me and I never like people, to actually listening to this bird, chirping back, feeling real delight.
She talks to it in this soft and eager and coaxing tone. It shocks old Ben Weatherstaff. He says, "Thou said that as nice and human as if thou was a real child."
It's the first time her voice sounds genuinely human, not just demanding or whining.
And the robin becomes her literal guide, leads her right to that long wall covered in ivy, flies over it, basically shows her, yep, the garden's in here, but the door's hidden.
It's the final push, isn't it? Moving her from just physical reaction to the environment towards purposeful, internal action, seeking something out.
Exactly. And this active engagement leads directly to her finding the key.
Guided by the robin again, she spots something half buried near the wall, digs it out. A heavy old key, rusted from being buried in the earth for 10 years.
She finds the hidden door under the ivy, uses both hands to turn the stiff lock, and it opens.
Her motivation here is fascinating. It's about sovereignty, isn't it?
Absolutely. The garden's been locked since Mrs. Craven died there. Mary wants to see it because it's been shut up. She imagines it as a world entirely her own, a secret.
For a child who experienced such profound neglect, that idea of owning a secret space, a kingdom just for her, that's incredibly powerful.
Paramount. And the revolution, the real work, starts the second she steps inside. She doesn't just look around.
No, she immediately starts digging, weeding, clearing space, working.
The physical labor is intense. She gets so warm she takes off her coat and a hat. And crucially, the narrator points out, she's seen smiling without even realizing it. That sour look is gone, and this work immediately gives her purpose. And empathy, strangely enough, she starts caring about the gray or brown sprays of the rose bushes, hoping they aren't dead, but wick.
That Yorkshire word again. Alive. She wants to make something live. It fulfills that request she made to Mr. Craven for just a bit of earth.
It's deeply symbolic, and this private project, her secret kingdom, soon becomes a partnership. Enter Dickon Sowerby.
Martha's brother. He just appears one day, sitting under a tree, playing a wooden pipe.
And he's surrounded by nature.
Yeah.
A squirrel, rabbits, pheasants, they're all perfectly at ease with him.
He embodies the Moor's power, doesn't he? Red cheeks, blue eyes, literally smells of heather and grass and leaves.
He is the expert, the animal charmer, the boy wild things trust. And Mary, surprisingly, likes him instantly, calls him beautiful because of this connection to nature.
He becomes the garden's, calm, insightful voice. He confirms which dead-looking branches are actually wick down to the root.
Teaches her about bulbs, crocuses, snowdrops, daffodils, about seeds, mignonette, poppies that will grow if you just whistle to them. Promises her a fountain of roses if they care for it.
He brings knowledge and partnership. But what really seals it? What validates Mary in this new world?
It's the robin again. It flies down and interacts with Mary right in front of Dickon. And Dickon says, "Birds is rare choosers, and a robin can flout a body worse than a man. See, he's making up to thee now."
It's like an endorsement from the natural world itself. Confirmation that she belongs now, that she's trusted. Way more powerful than any adult approval she never got.
Absolutely. And this shared secret, this partnership, it triggers Mary's huge moral breakthrough.
She confesses to Dickon. Flat out says, "I stole a garden."
But then she justifies it fiercely. I don't care. Nobody has any right to take it from me when I care about it and they don't.
Wow. That's ownership, responsibility, a really strong righteous attachment developing there. She cares.
And Dickon, bless him, he completely validates her choice, promises secrecy, compares it to hiding a bird's nest, tells her the art is safe as a missile thrush.
For Mary, that's everything. Confirmation, belonging. The chapter ends with her actually counting her friends on her fingers.
Martha, Mrs. Sowerby, the robin, Ben Weatherstaff, and now Dickon, and she thinks, I never thought I should like 5 people.
Incredible. She's overcome years of isolation and selfishness in just a few weeks on the moor.
The secret garden is coming alive. Mary is fully alive. And now we need to address the other mystery, the one echoing through Misselthwaite Manor.
Right, the crying. Mary keeps hearing this far-off, faint sound of fretful crying down the long corridors.
And Martha keeps stubbornly denying it. It's the wind, she says. Or maybe little Betty Butterworth, the scullery maid with a toothache.
But Martha's clearly lying, and Mary, with her newfound curiosity and boldness, isn't letting it go. She decides to investigate.
Breaks the rules, follows the sound in the middle of the night, candle in hand, through all those empty rooms, the 100 rooms no one ever goes into.
Until she finds this short passage hidden behind a tapestry door.
Yeah.
And the crying is coming from behind it.
She pushes it open and finds Colin Craven, Archibald Craven's hidden son.
Mary is completely stunned, gasps, "No one ever told me he had a boy."
He's described as pale, delicate, his face the color of ivory, his eyes are huge, just like his dead mother's portrait.
But his physical weakness isn't the main thing, is it? It's his psychological state.
Not at all. He's utterly convinced he's dying, or worse, that he's going to develop a hunchback, like his father supposedly has a crooked back, though the book implies Mr. Craven's issue is more thorough than physical deformity.
And this fear in Colin, it's fueled by things he's overheard. Servants, doctors whispering.
Exactly. He's constantly terrified a lump is forming on his spine. This leads to these fits of, hysterical hidden fear.
His whole world is built on tyranny and this morbid self-pity. He tells Mary straight up, "Everyone is obliged to do what pleases me."
Because getting angry or upset, he believes, makes him physically ill. It's his control mechanism.
He even had his mother's portrait covered up. Why? Because she smiles too much when I am ill and miserable. He felt her joy mocked his suffering.
It's incredibly twisted, but he finds Mary intriguing precisely because she isn't afraid of him.
And she doesn't offer that sickly, obedient sympathy he's used to demanding and receiving.
Right. So their friendship starts really unconventionally. The young Raja, as he calls himself, actually wants her to stay. He wants to talk to someone who isn't just catering to his illness.
This unusual dynamic leads directly to the pivotal moment, the confrontation that basically shatters Colin's entire reality.
It happens when Mary mentions Dickon is coming to the garden. Colin completely loses it, throws this terrible tantrum.
Sobbing screams, writhing around, convinced he feels the fatal lump starting on his back. The nurse, Mrs. Medlock, they rush in, terrified, useless, trying to soothe him back into his sickness.
But Mary's different now. She's been transformed by the Moor air, by digging, by purpose. She is completely immune to his performance.
She bursts in, not with sympathy, but with fury, and shouts at him, "You stop! I hate you! Everybody hates you! I wish everybody would run out of the house and let you scream yourself to death."
Whoa, that is blunt. Aggressive, even.
It's exactly the intervention he needed. It's this reality-based shock. She completely contradicts his deepest fears, screams at him, "You didn't feel a lump. There's nothing the matter with your horrid back. Nothing but hysterics."
And she doesn't stop there, does she? She physically forces him to let her check his back.
Right there, in the middle of his fit, and confirms loud and clear, there's not a single lump there.
The source material is actually remarkably insightful about the psychology here. It says this shocking contradiction, Mary's total lack of sympathy, the exact opposite of what he expected, it just shatters his psychological cage.
He'd spent years lying there, thinking only of himself and his supposed aches. And now this angry, unsympathetic little girl insists he's not that ill.
The aggression, the source suggests, was the best possible medicine for his hysterical condition. It forced him instantly to question his whole belief system.
So constant coddling was toxic. Mary's righteous fury was the cure. It broke the spell.
Exactly. His self-diagnosis is obliterated. And now the actual healing can begin, focused on the garden.
Mary starts by bringing the outside world to him, right? Distracting him with stories about the moor, about Dickon, the animal charmer.
And all the creatures out there, busy, having such fun. Colin is instantly hooked by Dickon's connection to animals. He even says, "I'm a boy animal." He feels that connection.
So they start planning. Colin decides he will go out, but only to the secret garden. The mystery is part of the appeal.
And they plan the route meticulously, like generals plotting a campaign, up this path, down that one, past the fountain beds, all to avoid being seen. Secrecy and purpose are key.
The first trip out is handled with such care. Logistics, suspense. When he's finally reeled out into the long walk,
he leans back in his chair, draws in that Moor air he always feared, and notes the wild, clear, scented sweetness, feels something quite new and delightful. He's embracing the very thing he thought would kill him.
Dickon pushes the chair through the ivy door. Colin sees the garden for the first time.
Astonished, sees the fair green veil of tender little leaves, the splashes of gold and purple and white. The place itself starts working on him immediately.
But the absolute defining moment, the climax of the transformation really, happens when they get discovered.
By old Ben Weatherstaff, the grumpy gardener. He pops his head over the wall from a ladder, spots Mary.
Starts scolding her, calls her a scrawny buttermilk-faced young besom. Standard Ben.
But then he sees Colin, and Ben believes the house gossip that Colin is the poor cripple.
And he asks, just blurts it out hoarsely, "Just that hasn't got a crooked back."
That question, that external voicing of his absolute deepest, darkest fear, hurled at him by a stranger, is the final trigger.
All Colin's pride, his rage, which used to fuel those destructive tantrums that rushes through him in a new way, gives him this unnatural strength.
And he stands up, pushes himself up out of the chair, alone. Shouts back at Ben, "I'm not a cripple, I'm not." Commands him, "Just look at me."
It's Dickon who confirms it, right?
Yeah.
Shouts out, "He's as straight as any lad of Yorkshire."
Yeah. And Ben Weatherstaff, this simple old man, is just overwhelmed by the visual truth. He's moved to tears, realizes Colin will make him on yet.
And Colin, standing there, completely in command now, declares Ben Weatherstaff is now in the secret. He has literally stood up to his fear and conquered it publicly.
It's an incredible scene, and it solidifies Colin's new approach to life. He deliberately frames his recovery as a scientific experiment.
Focused entirely on magic.
Yeah.
But he gives magic this really active, powerful definition.
He says magic is always pushing and drawing and making things out of nothing. Everything is made out of magic. Leaves and trees, flowers and birds. The magic in this garden has made me stand up and know I am going to live to be a man.
It's a complete psychological reframing, replacing years of morbid fear with this purposeful, positive belief system.
And they turn it into an active mantra, chanting it daily in the garden. The magic is in me. The magic is in me. I am going to be as strong as Dickon, as strong as Dickon.
Belief becomes a tool for healing. But this new, vibrant life creates a practical problem, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. The food problem, all this digging, running, laughing, and the more air. Suddenly both kids have enormous appetites, like young wolves.
Which threatens to blow their cover, right? How can these supposedly sickly children be suddenly starving? The staff would notice.
But Susan Sowerby, Dickon's amazing mother, she comes to the rescue, the mastermind behind the scenes.
You start sending food,
Mm.
secretly. Nutritious stuff.
Hmm.
Fresh milk, warm currant buns baked in her cottage oven, carried to the garden by Dickon.
So the kids can take off the edge of their hunger out there in secret. Then they can go back inside and just seem to disdain the fancy meals served in the manor.
Maintaining the illusion of sickness while actually getting perfectly healthy? It's a brilliant conspiracy.
It allows their health to just flourish, completely unsupervised. And Dickon helps too, physically.
He teaches Colin strengthening exercises, things he learned from Bob Hayworth, the champion wrestler on the Moor.
So you have this combination, active athletic training, plus the powerful belief in magic. It accelerates Colin's physical development like crazy, towards being tough and wiry, muscles like steel springs.
They're basically building this whole parallel, healthy life right under the noses of everyone at Misselthwaite.
Huh?
Wellness achieved through companionship, hard work, good food, and focused belief.
And their secret world expands beyond the garden walls.
Right. On rainy days, what do? They explore inside. Those 100 rooms no one ever goes into.
They run races down the long corridors, explore dusty rooms, laugh. It's still exercise, still joyful activity, just indoors.
Mary calls it a curiously entertaining morning. It keeps them fit and active without Mrs. Medlock suspecting a thing. They even explore the portrait gallery.
And this leads to Colin conquering his final, really personal psychological barrier, his mother's portrait.
He finally pulls back the curtain permanently, looks at her laughing face, and realizes something profound.
He feels she looked right down at me as if she were laughing because she was glad I was standing there. His perception completely shifts.
She goes from being a source of grief, maybe even resentment, to being a source of strength. He even wonders if she was a sort of magic person, perhaps.
It's a beautiful moment of reconciliation. And while all this rapid transformation is happening with the children,
Mr. Craven, Colin's father, is undergoing his own much slower, parallel healing process, thousands of miles away.
he's been wandering for 10 years. Beautiful remote places, Austrian Tyrol, Lake Como, letting his soul stay filled with blackness and grief after his wife died.
But nature starts working on him too, subtly, almost against his will.
He's resting by a stream somewhere, gazing at blue forget-me-nots, and finds himself feeling unbound and released, thinking tenderly how lovely it was.
Just that one simple positive thought. The source uses this amazing analogy. It says it was like a sweet, clear spring had begun to rise in a stagnant pool and had risen and risen until at last it swept the dark water away.
That image, the spring rising in the stagnant pool, it's so powerful. It suggests his healing started passively, just through exposure to beauty. It wasn't effortful at first.
Happiness just started seeping in, purifying the grief. He starts sleeping better, body and soul growing stronger, slowly.
And then comes the dream, the really pivotal moment for him. In Italy.
He dreams he hears his dead wife's voice, Lilius, calling his name. Lilius! Lilius!
He calls back in the dream, and her voice returns, clear as a golden flute. In the garden! In the garden!
That dream, combined with a letter, a very carefully worded letter from Susan Sowerby.
Right, a respectful nudge, mentioning the boy, suggesting Colin needs his father. That's what finally prompts his return to Yorkshire.
He arrives back at Misselthwaite. The house looks the same, but his mind is different. He's thinking of Colin not with dread, but with a kind of vague hope.
Mrs. Medlock meets him, completely bewildered. She reports Colin's behavior is past understanding, eating enormous amounts one minute, nothing the next, insisting on staying outside all day.
But not a human creature is allowed to go near for fear they'll look at him. The conspiracy held perfectly.
Perfectly. And this sets up the final incredible reveal. Mr. Craven finds himself drawn towards the wall of the secret garden, the locked door.
He stops, absolutely astonished, because he hears sounds that shouldn't be possible, coming from that supposedly dead, tragic place.
Running, scuffling feet, smothered joyous cries, the unmistakable sounds of healthy, happy children playing.
He pushes open the door and sees the transformation. Colin runs out to him, flushed, healthy, sturdy.
Shouting, "Father, I'm Colin, you can't believe it. I scarcely can myself. I can beat Mary in a race. I'm going to be an athlete." Just pure, unadulterated health and joy.
The father is just overcome. He's led into the garden, which is now this wilderness of autumn gold and purple, and he hears the whole story.
Magic, Ben Weatherstaff, the food conspiracy, the exercises, the chanting, everything. He's laughing, crying, overwhelmed by it all. The loss, the recovery.
And the final act, the ultimate proof. Colin announces.
I am never going to get into the chair again. I shall walk back with you, father, to the house.
And they do. They walk back together, and Ben Weatherstaff makes sure he's there in the servants' hall to witness it.
He confirms the miracle to the stunned staff. The cripple has walked home. It's the perfect public validation after all that private healing. Full circle.
Wow. What an incredible sequence of events. Okay, let's try and synthesize this, boil it down. What were the absolute core ingredients, the, let's say, 4 pillars required for this transformation?
Okay. Yeah, I think we can pull out 4 definite pillars from the text. First, elemental health. That consistent, sometimes difficult exposure to the fresh air of the moor, plus the physical labor it enabled, running, skipping, digging, that literally stirred their slow blood, made them hungry. Basic physical restoration.
All right, second pillar, purposeful labor and ownership.
Yeah.
They didn't just potter around. They engaged in intense work in the garden, not as a chore, but as this exciting secret project, making dead things wick, having that world all her own, that sense of responsibility was absolutely key to breaking their self-absorption.
Third, radical emotional confrontation. This is crucial for Colin, especially. His healing didn't start with gentle coaxing. It started with Mary's fury, her flat-out contradiction of his fears. That unhysterical, blunt approach shattered his fear-based reality, forced him to face the truth. Not a single lump there. Sometimes righteous anger is the path to truth.
That's a powerful point. Okay, and the fourth pillar.
Psychological reframing. The deliberate choice to adopt the magic mindset. Colin consciously replaced morbid thoughts and fears with this scientific experiment focused on positive belief, chanting, "The magic is in me," actively believing he would get strong. The source itself says thoughts are as powerful as electric batteries, purposefully redirecting thought.
So putting it all together, the biggest obstacles were internal, weren't they? Mary's ingrained selfishness, Colin's hysterical fear, even Mr. Craven's stagnant grief.
Exactly. They all succeeded because, one way or another, they managed to replace those negative states, fear, self-pity, grief, with belief, purpose, and strenuous, honest effort. The mind led the body, or perhaps they worked together.
Which brings us perfectly to our final provocative thought for you, our listeners, drawing on those more mystical threads in the story.
The book is quite explicit. Colin's mother's voice calls to his father in the dream.
"In the garden! In the garden!" And Susan Sowerby, Dickon's wise mother, she muses maybe the dead Mrs. Craven, set us to work and told us to bring him here.
It raises that lingering question, doesn't it? Was the garden just an amazing catalyst? You know, the perfect storm of fresh air, digging, secrecy, positive thinking, all the things we've just discussed? Or was there something else? An actual unseen force? Call it nature, call it magic. Something working through the robin, through Dickon, through Mrs. Sowerby. Was there a literal magic supporting the children's transformation, just like Colin and Mary came to believe?
That's the essential mystery of Misselthwaite Manor, isn't it? Whether the magic was purely psychological, created by the children themselves, or something older, wilder, rooted in the Yorkshire soil itself.
Something for you to think about.
Exactly. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the anatomy of transformation in the secret garden. We hope it's given you a fresh perspective on the power of, well, a bit of earth, a bit of air, and the incredible force of determined belief.